to some of those mushrooms.
Well, right now, just to bring you to where we are, we're about 7 miles off the coast of Key Largo. And we are in a place called the Florida Keys National Marine Sanctuary. And within that sanctuary, we're in a special place. It's called a spa, special protected area. And here in the spa, you've heard the expression, take away pictures and leave only footprints. Here, you can't even leave the footprints. Fishing is prohibited, lobstering of any kind, touching the coral, anchoring on the coral, all in the not too distant past, things were otherwise. People would come out and drop anchor on the reef, take a little bit home, all those kind of things. Nowadays, if you look out of the windows, you'll see some white balls with a blue stripe around them. They are permanently fixed to the bottom. Those are mooring balls. So you don't have to drop anchor, you just tie up to one of those balls, no harm, and that's your tax dollars at work. And if you look out of the left side of the boat, dogs. All right, the reef that we're looking at starts way up in Port Lucie, Florida, right up the coast, and it runs all the way down the coast of Florida through the Florida Keys out to the Dry Tortugas, if you know where they are.
Tortugas.
50 or 60 miles off the coast of Key West. That's a distance of about 360 some miles, making it the third largest barrier reef in the world, right behind the Mesoamerican reef and the granddaddy of all barrier reefs. In Australia, the Great Barrier Reef. Somebody showed that out. Thank you. It's in patches all the way down Flare. This patch is very, very popular. Dive outfitters and snorkel outfitters, and people like you and I throughout the Upper Keys. It's known for the abundance and diversity of marine life, and it has a special name. Does anyone know the name of the reef where we are?
Molasses.
Sid?
Molasses Reef.
I'm sorry, brother, what was your name again?
Stephen.
Stephen just got it right for the second time. Another 1,000 points.
Woo! Yay!
Must have been like the valedictorian in his class.
Subscribe to my channel. Woo!
Stephen, do you know how molasses got its name?
Probably because the water was thick as molasses. I don't know.
Stephen said probably because the water was thick as molasses. A shipwreck. That's right.
There we go.
My friend? Jack? Jack said.
I had to give it to somebody else for once.
Give Jack a hand.
Yay!
1,000 points for you and your family. You know they're not redeemable. Put them in your back pocket. Bring them back about 20 years from now. I'll still be here with this microphone. Hey, Jack.
Well, look at that, baby. Look at
All
that.
right, so the story goes like this. Yeah, this is Molasses Reef. It got its name from a shipwreck. Not too.
This for you, Mavis.
There's this boat called the USS Bentinck, sailing about 12 miles off the coast, making its way from the Bahamas to Key West, carrying a barge full of barrels of molasses.
Yeah.
Barge hits the reef. Barge hits the reef.
One more time.
I think the barge only hit twice. I want to give you as historically accurate rendition as I possibly can. But anyway, barge hits the reef, barge sinks, and it goes like this. The molasses starts leaking out of the barrels to the degree that it could be smelled from the mainland. That's how the story goes. That's how Molasses Reef got its name. And if you know a little bit about molasses, you might know that people in the Keys enjoy
That big grouper down there.
molasses. Rum. That's correct. Who said rum?
Over here.
Yes, ma'am. That's correct. Rum is made from molasses. That's why it was a little special cargo. Okay. So the question is, how deep is it here?
About 45 feet.
32.
About 45 feet.
We've got guessers now. Somebody said 45 feet.
He said 32.
32 and a half.
15 meters.
Like, price is right. 30 and 7/8. No, the real answer, ladies and gents, is anywhere between a 15 and 20. I got to talk a little bit about that though. It looks like the reef is super close, doesn't it? There'll be times when you're like, oh man, we're going to hit the reef. We are completely safe in about 15 or 20 feet of water. A phenomenon is at play. If you've ever taken a straw and put it into a glass of water, you may have noticed that the bottom of the straw looks a little bit bigger. The middle of the straw, where it comes in contact with the water, looks a little bit, for me it would be sweet tea, because I grew up in the American South, but the phenomenon applies nonetheless. Same phenomenon applies to the reef below.
Wow.
Everything that you see is about 33% larger than it really is. So it may look close, but trust me, we've got plenty of water under the boat. Turtle!
Turtle!
Guys, the turtles, the water with turtles.
Fucking want to see a turtle?
Okay, a little bit about the coral, now that we're oriented to where we are. Coral, and just this. All right, coral as a thing appeared on planet Earth about 300 million years ago. It's been around a while. This reef in particular, about 10,000 years ago, that's hard coral. If you're looking through the glass and you see coral and it's moving, well, that's soft coral. And the people that named coral were taking it easy on people like me. Right there, and it looks like a fan in an old-timey photograph like your grandmother might have had.
Coral.
If
smell
you
my
see a piece
feet.
of hard coral, it looks like a brain, kind of like a
I smell my feet.
on the bottom. Well, that takes about 50 years to grow to the size of a basketball. That's brain coral.
I smell weed
And I
too.
don't know why, but one of my favorite species of coral is yellow, and it's patchy, and it's intermittent on the reef. It's one of the most resilient species of coral. It's mustard hill and common fire raisin. But guys, I got to draw your attention to two species of coral that I really want to talk about. And if you look at the bottom, in the sandy part, bones, femurs, sorry, I'm making those words up, but they look like bones. They're not. They're the remnants of things called staghorn and elkhorn coral. Staghorn and elkhorn coral are particularly susceptible to changes in seawater temperature. The coral that you see on the bottom, where the last Florida Keys got over 90 degrees for an extended period of time. There are parts of the Florida Keys that register 100 water temperature. I'm here to tell you guys, that's two number of other species of coral that we have. Coral as a thing is, I think, hugely interesting. And here's how it should. A symbiotic relationship between two microorganisms. On one hand, you've got the coral polyp, related to the jellyfish and the sea anemone. And on the other hand, you've got a small microalgae. Seawater temperature goes outside of over, and algae leaves. It's expelled. And when it, and that process
That was
is
a big
called
hedge there.
coral bleaching. Bleaching. So the whitening of the coral that you read about, coral it's a plant.
Photosynthesis.
Photosynthesizes, it provides the coral polyp with nutrients. And all the while this coral polyp is pulling calcium carbonate, and that's that big rocky structure that you see is stuff the coral polyp has pulled out of the seawater to make itself a tiny fortress. So it's like a little carefully choreographed dance that we're watching right now. It's a living, breathing organism that is
Orphicals.
360 miles long here.
Not too many fish I like there used to be. This shit
So
used to be
let's talk a
colorful.
little bit about fish, but before we do, we are going through all this coral, and it's like these fingers and valleys. I like to call it like a Thomas's English muffin, like it's got nooks and crannies. Well, the nooks and crannies, and in particular, mermaids and nurse sharks hang out in that fanny patch. So let me talk about some of the fish that we're seeing. Come back to the nurse shark in just 1 minute. All these little guys that are shooting around in there, there's
Sergeant
five,
Majors.
dozens. They look like little bees down there. Those are called sergeant majors. And they're called sergeant majors because of the six vertical stripes on their bodies. They're darkly colored. And they shoot along the reef. The female sergeant major
That big coral head there.
lays her eggs on the reef and sticks them there using a small biofilament, a little sticky thread, puts them on the reef. The male sergeant major guards